Hello, everyone. This is Jill Craddock speaking, Product and Artist Management. Welcome to the virtual class session here for week number 3. This is the week that we segue from artist management into product management. And as you have seen and noticed, artist management, product management is a very important piece of that, especially as we've entered the digital age where content it can be by and large, it has reduced in cost, royalties have reduced significantly, and products become more and more important. So for your artists, it's very important to know how to capitalize on that. So this is where we really get into how you can make the artist and the product management fit together. So our two primary objectives tonight are to first talk about the product management competencies, also known as product management assets. Um, First part of the session. Second part of the session is to learn how to craft a brand positioning statement, which will also be part of your final project. We kind of take it easy on you a little bit this week because I know how hard you've worked on your live event project, particularly even after all the planning, you had to manage that technology piece, which I know is not easy. So congratulations on submitting those, and I'm really enjoying seeing all the creativity that goes into that. Uh, so that being said, your final project is open. Although it is not due this week, it's due next week. It's a bit of it's a larger project, so we want you to have as much time as you can to go ahead and work on that. So that is open today. Okay, so what is product management? What is it specifically? Product management is a cool thing if you are a product manager or if you work on the product management team. And if you're an artist manager, you have to figure out how to also be a product manager in this day and age. So, product management is the entrepreneurial management of a piece of business. It can be a product, it can be a product line, a service, a brand, a segment, as its own virtual company, kind of within a company. And you have the goal of a long term customer satisfaction and competitive advantage. Okay. And what's great about that is it's the entrepreneurial management. So it's kind of like you're your own boss, you're the CEO of that particular product. So sometimes an artist is a product if that total image package has been crafted to the point where that brand becomes a product. But oftentimes, the product that we're talking about is an offshoot of an actual product or a service that is associated with an artist. Okay. An example that I think of often when I think of product management, and this is not an entertainment example, but it's an example of product management and the idea of entrepreneurial management, which actually stemming from entrepreneurial is the idea of intra, INTRA, entrepreneurial management. And there are whole schools of thought around this idea. So if you work within a company, it's that entrepreneurial spirit. It's intrapreneurial. So it's maintaining that artful management, that artful space, and it's within the company. And companies want you to do that. And the example I'm thinking of is I had a chemistry teacher in college who told us that he invented the Crayola washable markers. And he was a little bit jaded and bitter that he did not get the credit for inventing the washable marker himself. And over the years, as I've learned more about entrepreneurial and intrapreneurial management, I've thought of him and I've thought that I don't know whether he could have invented the Crayola washable marker without the support of the Crayola company. And that's the great thing about being a product manager is that you have the human resources around you, you have the physical resources, you have the financial resources, and you have the intellectual resources and the support to help you develop your brand and develop your product to be the best that it can possibly be, that product line or service, whatever it is. So who knows if we would have Crayola washable markers with or without him, or with or without the support of the Crayola company and all of those things working together. So that's the idea of product management. There is just working within that entrepreneurial spirit, whether you're with a big company or not. Okay, so these are our product management competencies that we want to focus on. Please take special note here. Your discussion board, we are asking you for 3 out of these 5 to discuss 3 out of these 5 of what you're looking at right here. And I'll go into further detail. 3 out of these 5 for your discussion board. Sometimes it happens that the first person who starts writing on the discussion board, the second person will build off that, and the third person will build off those first 2, and so on and so forth. And if the first person goes into the wrong section of the book or goes in and discusses what their personal idea of product management competencies are and gets the answer wrong, then the whole class gets the answer wrong, and that's a great way to miss points, and I don't want that to happen. These are the actual product management competencies, and they are in chapter 1 also. So driving business results is your job. If you are a product manager, these are your key results areas. Driving business results, delivering results through people, ensuring your market-driven direction, guiding product fit and function, and managing multiple priorities. Sounds kind of, theory-based up in a cloud, but they do mean certain things. This is what, you would be measured on as a product manager if you're doing the right things. So as an example, you can see here, driving business results. So what we have here is a picture of a woman on a subway reading a Kindle. So as you know, Amazon produces the Kindle and has a serious percentage of the market on the Kindle. Okay, Nook is a competitor. And the biggest competitor and the people who are losing out big time are the hard copy publishers. Okay, so Simon and Schuster, Penguin, whoever's publishing the hard copy books, they're losing out big time. So if you are a product manager, let's say for Amazon or for Kindle rather, your job is to figure out how to drive those business results. One of the things that's happening, just to keep you informed in this particular aspect of the entertainment business in this world, Amazon has just cut their ebook pricing in half. So you can only imagine what this has done to their competitors, specifically to their hard copy publishers, because it's virtually impossible for them to compete. So they are in a federal case being sued because this violates the Sherman Antitrust Act, which is the Monopoly Act established. And there's a suggestion that they colluded on price with Apple and with some of the major publishers, and some of them are settling out of court, which is suggesting some guilt. So when you're driving business results, it's important to stay competitive. However, that's an example of going way too far. So first thing with driving business results is establishing what are your baselines. Where do you come in? So if you're a product manager and you say, okay, it's my job to improve the sales of this product, make sure you figure out what the sales of the product always have been and where you come in and where you're going to take it from there, establishing those baselines and establishing the goals. Okay. So what are your measurables? Is it just sales? That's a big one. It could also be profit. That's important too. Customer retention. Customer satisfaction is a big one, especially now with everybody twittering every single thought in their head, and they can, be in a waiting room and decide that they're waiting too long for whatever it is. They can give you a negative review on Yelp right then and there. Okay, web traffic, that could be another example of what unmeasurable is. So think of all the different ways that you can measure a product, the success of it, and your customer satisfaction. Something that a guy named Jeff Jarvis did to the computer company Dell. Okay, if any of you remember the commercials, dude, you're getting a Dell. Okay, at that time they were selling it went from dude, you're getting a Dell. Those commercials took that company in the early 2000s from 31 to $50 billion a year. And Jeff Jarvis was so disappointed in his Dell, power of one person and social media and just stirring up a storm. And it must have been the product itself as well, because he did pick up quite a bandwagon effect. However, 2011, from $50 billion in the mid 2000s, they went down to 7.7 billion because he started a campaign called Del Hell. So it's really important to make sure that your customers are happy and to see what you can be doing to improve your product. Okay. So, and that would be a yearly measure, a seasonal measure, figuring out your points of measurability, how your company and how your product does it. The strategic appraisal, know your baseline no matter what. And this would be the financial, the knowledge and skills. You want to pre-qualify your customers, look at the performance of those key accounts that you're looking to serve, and you want to have different pitches for different customers, okay, depending on what they're looking for. So for the product that I sell and work with, which are educational / entertainment scripts for schools, if I'm talking to a teacher, I would say this will really improve the level of engagement in your classroom. But if I was talking to an administrator, I might say this will really help with your test scores as a school. Okay. So just kind of have a different idea of who your audience is in driving those business results. And that's the idea of our first product management competency. Delivering results through people. That's our second product manager competency. And the reason I have this picture here, you'll find this game in any Cracker Barrel at the table that you might go eat in. But the idea behind this picture in this context is that you have to lead people upwards, downwards, and sideways. Okay. And what that means is that as a product manager, it's kind of like being a project manager in the sense that you're responsible for your product, but you're not responsible for the whole company. You're not responsible. You're not the CEO. You don't always get to be in charge of people. Sometimes you might have people on your team, but very few people are responsible for everyone on their team. So you have to figure out, and sideways too. You want to get involved with other teams. So Kate has worked extensively with ESPN. So let's say she's the product manager for the rodeo products, okay, which is a niche market. And she wants to expand her market base. Don't you think that she'd want to get involved and get to know the person really well who sells the NFL products? Only because that person would have a huge market base that she could draw from and market to and figure out maybe a connection there. So it's important to lead sideways and create those interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal relationships and that whole idea of emotional intelligence and building the interpersonal skills is actually your number one indicator of success. So delivering results through people is very important, and always sharing everything that you possibly can and doing what you can to help others will always come around for you. Just kind of like that idea we talked about last time with what can you do to be a connector. And that's important. And all of these books that you read about delivering results through people, you can go to any business section of Barnes & Noble, any self-help section of Barnes & Noble. This is the original. All of these books are often modeled after the Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book was written in the 1930s. So when you have a moment, kind of look this up on Wikipedia or purchase a copy. Even better, purchase a copy for yourself. But there are just some real gems here of how to win friends and influence through other people. And this is something that may come naturally to you and it may not. But if it doesn't, then there are ways that you can really work on it. And just simple things like remembering people's names, talking in terms of another person's interest, smiling, and even a fake smile can turn into a natural smile. Winning people to your way of thinking, which, often is best to avoid an argument any way possible. Don't do business behind closed doors, especially if that involves your boss. That will always come back and get you. And these are great ways to end up getting the people that you need on your side. So let the other person that you're working with do most of the talking. And starting with questions, just little tips. Start with a question to which the other person will answer yes. Okay, letting the other person feel that the idea is his idea or her idea. Okay, and really trying to see the situation from the other person's point of view. Those things, are solid and tangible ways to deliver results through people, which is another one of our product management competencies, how to be a good product manager. Okay, ensuring the market-driven direction. An important thing to know, historically speaking, kind of think back to this. It's an interesting fact about the gold rush. Okay, the California gold rush from the 1840s. The people who made the most money in the California gold rush were not the people who struck gold. The people who made the most money were the people selling the pickaxes. So look around at your market and what are the tools that could be used in your market. So if you're not developing the iPad, you're not developing the iPhone, or you're not developing the MacBook, this product right here is not developed by Apple, the product that you see on the left. It is developed by a company called APPEL, and it's called an Apple Core. So somebody had this great idea, and it's selling quite well. So being kind of a champion for the customer and looking, having that outward focus and studying those trends to look at, what could the future trends be around the product that already exists, and how can you create value for your customers. One way of doing it is conducting market research. Steve Jobs had another idea. He just used his own imagination because he said people can't know what they want when what they want hasn't been invented, kind of thing. So you can kind of go by the data available. I have a picture of this book here, Microtrends by Mark Penn. And Mark Penn is revolutionary in picking up on trends and researching them. And he has this idea, which is a great idea, of looking for the 1%. And in this book, he dives into dozens upon dozens of trends. And he's got, everything from, home trends to work trends. He divides them all out to social trends, things that are happening with kids. And the example that I like to share is he kind of predicts what's going to happen. So if anybody that's listening right now is left-handed, then chances are, if you were raised a couple of generations ago, you would not actually be left-handed, because if you had a inclination to write with your left hand, your teachers would have taught you that that was wrong, and they would have forced you to write with your left hand. So that kind of thinking went out of fashion, and they started letting kids write with their left hand. And so the idea is catching on to what's happening. And so he calls this particular section, there's just a bunch of essays on this stuff in this book, he calls it Southpaws Unbound. So what you can do with that kind of information is create products around that, because you can see that all of these kids are going to have a shortage of products around left-handed items. So whether that be chairs, desks, if you're a left-handed person, I'm not a left-handed person, but if you're a left-handed person, even if you're not, you can find what left-handed people need pretty easily, especially in the day and age of information being everywhere. Okay. So capitalize on that stuff. And this book has, religion, politics, leisure pursuits, relationships, all this kind of stuff. So the book was published a few years ago, but the data is very valuable. So it's something to kind of look at for trends and research. And I also recommend looking in your book as an exercise. The product management guide. My favorite thing in this book is, besides the brand positioning statement, is on pages 114 and 115. It's an exercise called Trends A to Z. Okay. And it's everything from the aging population, and I can't remember what Z is, but it lists them out, any trend that could affect your business or your product. And so for O, for instance, it's obesity awareness. Okay. And you might not think that obesity, for example, for the product that I use, that I have a business for, I would never think that obesity would have anything to do with educational entertainment. But it turns out that sadly that there are a number of girls who don't want to get up on stage or in front of a group of people because they have anxiety over feeling overweight, even if they're not. Okay, guiding product fit and function. This is an app that is one of the top 50 apps. It's called Balloonimals, and it's very simple. And what somebody did is recognize that there are not a lot of apps out there for the toddler market. So they went into that market, which is a smart thing to do. So if you recognize and you read up on the trends of what's out there, and you see that there's not a market that's not very saturated, that's a great place to go. So they worked with toy developers, they worked with moms, going back and forth. Fit and function essentially means going back to the drawing board over and over again. And sometimes it can be a very simple process. The product that you end up with, rather a simple product. And so what you do, just like what it says here, you blow into the iPod or iPhone or whatever you've got there. You shake it up, and it turns into an animal, a dinosaur in this case. It varies, and then you press the button, and it makes a popping sound. So kind of a silly fun thing, but 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds really love it. So you go back and forth, research and design, and just it's that working knowledge of quality control, manufacturing, inventory, warehousing, and how you can keep working back and forth between the users, which would be the toddlers and the moms, child development experts, toy designers, engineers, all the people who make the apps. And how can we make this as simple and easy to use that a toddler can do it? And it turns out that it's become just such a whirlwind popular thing that it's one of the top 50 apps. They have another one that simulates a party whistle. You just blow into it. So that's wildly popular as well. And here's another thing to be aware of when guiding product fit and function, is asking the users, provided, of course, that they're not toddlers. But this one would be this picture is, of course, a bike. And this is a light that goes on back of a bike. Okay. And it's for braking. And this is a great idea because the idea is developed by people who are on the road. So, of course, we have brake lights for our cars, and it would be a great idea to have brake lights for the bike rather than just a reflector light. You can tell when someone is stopping. Okay. So taking this idea to innovators and to engineers back and forth, trying to figure it out. And it's the same idea that a hybrid bike, okay, not a mountain bike, not a road bike, race bike, but a mountain bike was developed by bikers. Or I'm sorry, a hybrid bike was developed by bikers. Okay, it's the users that come up with these ideas. So this is being developed by bikers, but you have to know what are the regulations, what's the quality control in this field. Okay, some countries you are also required to have a front light. Some countries you're not. Okay, what are the laws of the road? What are the visibility requirements? How are bikers required to interact with pedestrians? And these are things that will all affect your product. So as a product manager, in guiding product fit and function, these are all things. And nobody would expect you as a product manager, just like as an artist manager, you don't personally have to know the details of tax accounting. You don't personally have to know the details of contract law, but you have to make sure that all the people who do are working in the way that they need to, and that they're working to the caliber that you're expecting them to. So here with an example like this, let's say you've got Lance Armstrong on board to endorse this bike light. No one would expect you or Lance Armstrong to know the difference between the red and the black wire, but you have to communicate with the engineer to make sure that all of it works. Okay. You have to go back and forth with the promotions people to make sure that Lance Armstrong is going to be where he says he's going to be. So it's kind of a similar idea to being an artist manager, except you're promoting, instead of the artist, you're promoting that product. Okay, managing multiple priorities. Let's see if I can. This is an example of Apple and all of the multiple priorities they've had over the years. And I think this will pretty much say it all when you can see all of the product lines that they have. So as a product manager, the time management piece is very important. Okay, so we're just going to take a look here at the idea. Over the years of what the product managers have had to manage. See, I'll date myself and I'll tell you which computer I remember in elementary school. I'm going to say this one, the classic. Okay, so you can kind of think as we scroll through this, which one do you remember first? It's kind of fun to look back at all these. You don't see them in the stores anymore. The very first iPod, did you have one? We all remember this iconic ad. Okay, so we're getting closer. But imagine being a product manager at Apple and developing all these new products and seeing what the market would bear. We're about to get to something that you are using right now, which would be your MacBook. Where did it go? The iPad. That's not, okay, a MacBook Pro is somewhere on here. Maybe we passed it. Yeah, picking up where Amazing left off. Okay, so there you have that. Okay, so I encourage you to go on to IDEO, this website right here, where competencies in action, and check out their work. It's not like careers at IDEO. This is the examples of their work. And they have all the product management competencies in action. This is the best company that we have found that really displays this in action. This is where I got the Balloonimals example. So once again, when you do your discussion board, this is what we're looking for. Discuss 3 out of these 5 as it relates to the case study. Make sure you read the case study that asks you at the top to read. It's at the bottom. It's a 7-page case study discussing the release of the iPhone, the first iPhone in 2007. Okay, so how does Apple deliver business results, deliver results through people, whichever 3 you choose to discuss. Okay, your brand positioning statement. This is a hook. How it's shorter than an elevator speech. The idea that you're going to be in an elevator with a CEO for 45 seconds and have that opportunity, that would be great. And hopefully that happens for you. But this is just like a 10-second hook. If you've ever given a speech for like a speech class, let's say, and they tell you about the idea that you have to have a hook and you're going to either make or keep people to keep listening to you in the first 10 seconds of what you have to say. That's basically what this is. It streamlines your thoughts, gets your target audience. And that's what's so important about this, is getting your target audience. And it's okay if everyone's not your target audience. Everyone should not be your target audience. If someone tunes out on you, that's not who you're talking to anyway, so it's all right. Right away, someone should know what you're talking about. So your brand, get it right out there in the first 3 seconds of that statement. It is not a slogan. It is not a mission statement. And a lot of times I'll get that from students is, a tagline like Nike, just do it. That's not a brand positioning statement. We'll go into what it is. Okay, page 191 of the text. This is exactly what your brand positioning statement should look like. Okay, easy part here is the brand name, okay, whatever your brand name is. Another easy part is your competitive frame of reference. It's a beverage, okay? This is the example from the book. To the youth market. Now, how do we define our target market? That's hard. You have to decide. Is Milk Chug going to be for everyone, or is it just going to be for kids? Okay. Now, what's special about this? Nutritious and fun. Here's a word that I would like to see you stay away from. I'd like to see you stay away from it in general, and that's the word creative, because it's so ambiguous and it's so subjective, and it is the most commonly used word on LinkedIn resumes. So once creative has become so overused, it ceases to really have any meaning. So please try and stay away from that and think hard about your word choice. You have a great thesaurus on this Mac, so try and make use of that. And why is it nutritious and fun? Oh, content plus creative packaging. See, they're using the word creative in this text, but I'm asking you if you could please, for my benefit, because I see it so much, the word creative, stay away. Okay, so what makes your company different? So Domino's, fresh ingredients or fast service. Think about it. Jeep, sense of adventure or sense of safety. FedEx, on time delivery or good looking truck drivers. Apple, affordability or cutting edge design. Okay, hopefully, if these companies have done their jobs right, you would know the answer to this basically right away. Okay, these are your correct answers. Good looking truck drivers, that would be UPS. All right, so here's an example of a product that's coming out on the market. Maybe it's just already come out by now. 50 Cent, we know about Beats, but now we've got Dre coming out with the SMS headphones, okay? So I'm going to read this to you. This came from Fast Company, and we're going to write a BPS. I'm going to show you how to do this based on what you know about this product, okay? So here's Dre, and here's the article here. When Beats by Dre headphones debuted in 2008, the size of the $100 plus headphone market was a faint 92 million. 4 years later, the good Doctors B emblazoned earpieces have achieved near ubiquity, and the $100 plus segment has been cranked up to 512 million. That's some no joke volume, and 50 Cent is angling to get in on it with his new SMS Audio brand of headphones. Here's how he and SMS president Brian Nohe are trying to avoid being just another headphone company by a hip hop artist. So, as a product manager, you have to figure that out. How are you going to be just another fill in the blank? Okay, what makes your company unique and creative and unusual? Okay, looks. 50 Cent. Beats made headphones fashionable. Look at consumer electronics. Other than TVs, everything is getting smaller. Headphones used to be the same way. Then Beats came out. Now headphones are getting larger, more visible. Brian Nohe. That made us realize we not only need to think about the high quality of sound, but also the headset as a fashion accessory. People want to dress them up, so we have to give them color options. Okay, there's one differentiating factor. Price. Beats blazed a path in the high-end market. I liken it to what happened with sneakers. Not long ago, we were paying $25 for shoes. Then people saw they could get higher end, more stylish, celebrity endorsed products, and the cost jumped to $200. Same with headphones. Our Sync by 50 line is priced at $399.95, which is comparable to Beats' top model. We wanted it to be premium. If you believe in your product and don't discount it, consumers believe it's worth what they pay. Deals, partnerships. Obviously, I'd like to have partnerships with companies like Beats has with Chrysler. When a company has been around as long as Chrysler, you know there's quality to it. That reflects back on you. I want SMS to be associated with a brand that's perceived the same way. I've done it before in a different category. I worked with Right Guard to create RGX Pure 50 body spray. People knew the Right Guard name and quality and then saw something new and wanted to try it. Technology. No, we didn't go with an active noise canceling feature because that degrades the sound. Our wireless technology is called Clear. It's a lossless CD quality signal. To add something that affects the clarity wasn't reasonable. Even if other headphones out there have wireless, they use Bluetooth. That's not the same. We want you to be able to hear the highest quality music. That's why I called the company SMS, Studio Mastering Sound. Branding. If you say Sony, I think of a room full of Asian men. You say Bose, I don't know what I think of. It's just a corporation. You say Beats by Dre, I think of a person who means something to the culture. The more the public respects someone's art, the more it drives a sense of cool with his or her products. I'm going to release my 5th album this summer, and obviously we'll tie SMS in with that. The recording is done. Now it just needs a few songs to be mastered. Coincidentally, by Dre. All right, so we're going to look at how you can make an SMS BPS, which is Studio Mastering Sound Brand Positioning Statement. Okay, so to whom? Okay, brand, like I told you, there's 2 easy parts to this. SMS is the brand of headphones, competitive reference. That is what makes these headphones different and why. That's the distinct competence, okay? One sentence, not a slogan. Follow the above format. By the way, this is discussion board 4, and it has to be included in your product investor pitch. Sometimes making one sentence is harder than writing a whole paper, okay? Because you've got to really narrow your stuff down. So if you go back, and I'll let you go back, but you can rewind here. But if we were to go back and look at everything that that Dre said about his product and that Brian Nohe said about this product, this is what we would find. Fashion conscious and high-tech music lovers. They talked about the fashion and they talked about the quality of the music, okay? SMS is the brand of headphones that is the highest quality sound due to premium wireless technology, okay? They talked about that clear technology. So the word choice here, you can narrow it down right away. So I would immediately be excluded from this, and that's fine because I buy my headphones in the checkout line at TJ Maxx. That's me. But so if they're talking about fashion conscious, high tech music lover headphones, I immediately tune out, and they don't want me. I'm not going to spend $400 on headphones, but there are people who will, and this is a small percentage of people. So they'll keep going and they'll keep listening about this new product. Okay, so that's basically the end of our content for this week. Make sure that you know your product management assets and be aware of how you're going to spend some time crafting your brand positioning statement. There's a great video in week 4 that I would really encourage you to watch in the week 4 discussion board. And, please call me. I really like thinking through these things with you. And please make use of the thesaurus in your Mac. Those are some very helpful things you can do. And I look forward to reading your discussion boards and seeing your investor pitches. And I will talk with you again soon. Okay.